Welcome to Just Say This, the place to get all the help you need for the birds and bees talks. I'm your host, Amy Lang. Just a quick reminder, this show is for grown-ups because I'll be swearing. There'll be lots of swears, and then I'll also be talking about grown-up sex. I can guarantee that your kids do not want to listen to this, and they really don't want to listen to it with you. You've been warned. Do you have a question for me? Please give me a call. The phone number is 206-926-1522, 206-926-1522, and I will answer on the show. And if you have a funny sex talk story, please call in those as well, 206-926-1522. Thanks. Today's show is Q&A only, and if you have a question for me, please give me a call, 206-926-1522. 206-926-1522. Even if you think it's really dumb, even if you're embarrassed to ask it, please ask it. You'll be helping a bunch of other parents. And remember, we're all in this together. So thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. And if you're really liking what you're hearing, would you please rate me? If I get up to 100 ratings, then when you Google or search parenting, I'll pop up. Thanks.
Amy, hi. I was calling about my 14-year-old son. The issue with him that when he was about 8 or 9, he was trying to play a video game on an iPhone. It was a long time ago. And I've noticed that some porn ads were coming up. And I saw that he was exposed to porn. And it was nasty. And I told him, just like you say, that's not something people do in real life, and it's just unsafe and, all the other things that you recommend. So we had a conversation, and that's when it was just maybe, a long time ago, 6 or 7 years ago is when I got Disney Circle right after this happened. So right now it's I still have that very same Disney Circle set up, and all of my media is connected through the Disney Circle, as well as his school's Chromebook. But what I notice when I monitor what is websites he's looking through, in the filtered section for explicit content, he is coming up with, I don't know how, but he's able to penetrate through that Disney Circle barrier and still able to pull up those porn websites. And he's addicted to porn. So I don't know what to do. I thought, I'm going to just block this and this and this. But I find myself weekly or every couple of days going and looking through his history and sites that were blocked by Disney Circle or filtered as explicit content websites. And he's just finding the ways around or finding new websites that I have not blocked just yet. Super inventive. So I don't know. What do you recommend for his porn addiction? I guess the Disney Circle issues, I might just call them and ask customer service or tech support guy to maybe figure out a way to block more stuff. But that addiction, porn addiction stuff, it just bothers me, and I don't know how to approach it. Sorry for the long message, but thank you ahead of time.
Oi, kids these days, how the hell do they figure this shit out? Honestly, I don't really know. So yes, I do think you should call customer service and talk to the Circle folks, because I am certain they have dealt with this 1,000,001 times. It sounds like you have some blocking going on, and I'm glad you're monitoring, and you didn't say whether or not you're doing this, but clearly you need to have a conversation with your son. He is using a lot of porn. You say he's addicted. I don't know what that means. He might be using kind of a normal amount of porn, because kids these days, they watch a lot of porn. But not every kid. So you definitely need to talk with him. Before you do, if you haven't already listened to my other porn episodes, you might do that for some more information about how to talk with him. But I would definitely park him, find him when he's lucid. Like he's got his poop in a group. He's not all grumpy and sullen and hiding out. This might be at 9 o'clock at night because adolescent brains. Anyway, I would find a time when he's lucid. I would say to him, hey, I've been monitoring your devices and I know you've been looking at quite a bit of porn. And I'm worried about this, and talk with him about how it's not healthy to watch it, that it can be really violent and confusing and it's not real sex. And you understand that he might be having a problem and maybe he's not able to stop looking at it. And then take a pause. And then say to him, please tell me what's going on, and see what he does. Now, there is a good chance he's going to say, I don't know. He might have a fit. He might cry. He might be super relieved because porn is awful. A whole lot of it is really, really awful. And he has been filling his little psyche up with this shitty perspective on sex and sexuality. I think he probably knows that he shouldn't be looking at it. And if you haven't already been really explicit about that and talked with him and your other kids too, frankly, about why it's not okay to look at porn and what to do if they see it, then he's broken some family rules. If you have never been really clear with him about why it's not okay for kids to look at porn and have some rules about that and been open about this, then it's kind of on you. You should have been doing this, everybody listening. You should have been doing this all along. And I'm so glad that you have Circle and are using monitoring software, because most parents don't, everybody listening, and you do. So that's super. Anyway, when you have this conversation with him, I think you probably need to shut him down in terms of his time online. I think it might be pretty mortifying for him to have that he's been watching this stuff. I would absolutely give him a break from his phone because he needs to rejigger, and really monitor him closely when he's on his devices. And thanks for the reminder about the school computers. They're not locked down. They're not locked down. They're not locked down. Some of them are. Most of them aren't. Anyway, I don't know how helpful I'm being, but I do think you need help and he needs help probably more than you need help, and you should definitely talk to the Circle people. You also might want to look into Bark. It's another product. My colleagues seem to like it more than Circle. I think it's more robust, so check out Bark. That's another option. And yeah, I'm super sorry this is going on, and he needs to talk about it and you need to talk with him about it. So you're going to probably need to figure out some kind of consequence. I'm kind of repeating myself. Oh, wait, you're a listener. Of course I'm repeating myself. You might need to have some kind of consequence, and it could be just how often he's online, where he's getting online, that sort of thing. And then also, you have other kids, so you absolutely need to talk with them about this too, because they need to be safe online. There's lots of resources online for talking with kids about porn. I would look also at the book Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. It's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job of explaining about pornography. It's pretty sex negative, which I don't like about it, but it's kind of all we got right now. But folks are working on better books about porn for kids. Anyway, that always sounds awful. Anyway, all right, so good luck. If you need more help, please let me know. You can reach out to me via email. It's amy@birdsandbeesandkids.com.
Hey there, love your show, learning so much more than I ever thought possible and becoming more confident all the time and talking to my boys, the two boys, 8-year-old and almost 12-year-old. I would like to revisit the pubic hair question. So I made a poor choice based on really bad relationship choices when I was younger to shave off most of my pubic hair. Per their request, and then I went even further as I got older with additional awful partners to have most of the hair lasered, which I don't recommend. It's not a fun process, but for all the reasons that you mentioned, I agree with you. However, I'm in a position now where even if I were to allow it to go out, which I've tried, and it's visible, as you've heard, but for me now it's like patchy mess. So I basically just keep it trimmed aside from a little patch up top, which I know it's ridiculous. Partners seem to like it, which you've addressed was kind of creepy, but it is what it is. That's my situation. My boys have seen me naked for many, many years, still do. We're not super open, but we're comfortable with bodies are bodies, and they're all different and interesting. And but yeah, I want to address the pubic hair issue with them because I don't want them to have the expectation that that is what a normal female will look like. So how do I do that, but also normalize what I have done without getting too graphic as to why? Yeah, any thoughts would be greatly appreciated, and love what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Your sound quality was a little funky. I am sure Melanie monkeyed with it a little bit to make it better, but I just want to kind of say what you said a little bit because this is such an important and great question. Alrighty. You have boys and you have a lack of pubic hair because when you were in your youth, you had some partners that pressured you, from the sounds of things, into shaving. And then you had another partner or partners who pressured you into lasering it. And the lasering is permanent. And now you're growing it in, or it's grown back in, and it's patchy, and it doesn't look like typical pubic hair in the down there region for vulva havers. Your concern is, how do you talk to your boys about this? I'm thinking also you're concerned that your boys will pressure their partners because they think that no pubic hair down there on a grown-ass body is normal. And sure, it's normal, but it's not what a natural body looks like. Everybody's got pubic hair. Everybody. Well, some people don't, but the vast majority of people have pubic hair, and it's there for a reason, and you need to talk about that. Padding, hold scent, that kind of thing. And it sounds like you have some real regret around the choices you made. And when we talk with our kids about these kinds of things where we made choices that are about our sexuality or our bodies and we have regret, sometimes we project that onto our kids and we get a little weird about it. And that weirdness is completely normal. The thing you need to remember is that your boys don't have a real sense of, ideally, a real sense of what a grown person's body should look like in terms of their pubic hair. And because you've been, nude around them, they see your parts and they just look at you and are like, okay, whatever, that's what she looks like, and don't think much about it. Again, when they are exposed to porn, they're going to get a different picture. Now, as you alluded to, I am not a fan of shaving the pubic hair down there on the female bods. I don't think it's a good idea. I actually think it's really gross because people who don't have pubic hair down there are 7. And I get that it's a personal choice, but it just creeps me the fuck out. Anyway, as I've said in the past, if you got it down there and you've been shaving it, grow it back because they need to see what a natural female vulva haver's body looks like. Super important. Anyway, I digress, of course, because I love to digress. Back to your question, how do you talk about this? Well, first of all, you need to just say to them, hey, I just wanted to let you know that a natural female body and male bodies, as kids get older, when you go from puberty into adulthood, everybody gets pubic hair. And pubic hair grows around the penis and it grows on the vulva. And, people who have penises generally get hair on their chest. They can, talk about all the hair getting thicker, blah, 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 blah. So you're going to establish that normalcy of a natural body. Then you're going to say, you're going to keep this third person. Sometimes people choose to shave their pubic hair. People with vulvas can shave the pubic hair off down there. People with chest hair, shave their chest hair, remove their chest hair. This is a choice people make, and it's not a choice you have to make. And if you have a partner who happens to have a vulva, then it is their choice whether or not they shave their pubic hair. Then you can have your little rant about, it sounds like you're on my side with this, and you can talk about how that cannot be okay and blah, blah, blah. And then you got to toss in the porn thing because they're going to see the naked mole hair vulvas and talk about that. And I think the goal here is to just normalize the natural body and make it clear that, shaving is a personal choice. And, I mentioned chest hair. Men these days, the youngsters these days, the oldsters these days are making their chest hair go away. Also, Thanks to porn, I'm thinking, because porn. Who needs pubic hair? Apparently it's not part of the sex life. All right. When you talk with them, you don't need to say to them necessarily that, I had partners, they pressured me, I removed my pubic hair, I regret it. They don't really want to hear that. So you can say that in a third person. Sometimes people regret it when they do this. Sometimes people get pressured by their partners. Sometimes people are influenced by pornography and they think that's what a natural body should look like. And say those things. Maybe later when they're a little bit older, I'm kind of thinking about the 12, but you can talk also broadly about pressuring people to do sexual things or to do things for their sex life and how that's not okay. Because everybody needs to know, of course, that we want to talk about consent and all of that, and pressuring someone to do something with their body is absolutely off limits. And maybe ask them as well, how would you feel if somebody was insisting you do something with your body? And you do that old thing where you try to get some empathy out of them. You can get some empathy out of a 12-year-old. You can't really get any empathy out of an 8-year-old. That's not how they work. Okay, I feel like I've been blabbling along here, and I really, really appreciate you asking this question. So I guess my sum total here is calm down. You're doing the right thing. Your heart's in the right place. You need to be really careful and clear with them, and you do not have to disclose your own tale of pubic hair. Any interest in a quickie? Ha, just kidding. I'm not offering you sex. I'm actually offering you a quickie consultation. This is a 30-minute deep dive into a topic that you are struggling with. I've talked to parents about how to handle their kids' porn exposure, how to reboot the conversations, what to do if their kids are totally doing the old talk to the hand thing, aren't interested, and parents whose little people cannot stop touching themselves. It gives you an opportunity for me to really focus on whatever the issue is at hand. I take notes, I send you homework, I give you resources, and my intention is to get things taken care of really, really quickly. If you're interested, the link is in the show notes to sign up, or you can go to birdsandbeesandkids.com, and if you click on the classes link, you'll see the link to the quickies. Anyway, join me for a quickie. They're fun. They're fast. Shouldn't a quickie be fun and fast?
Hi Amy, it's a call from Australia today, and our question is in relation to your advice to explain sex as penis in vagina to a 5-year-old. We have a just turned 5 and just turned 8-year-old at home, and being a same-sex couple, this doesn't entirely jive with our personal experience of what sex is, so we find ourselves with the dilemma of why it's only age appropriate to explain sex as penis in vagina. Is it based on the link to how babies are made more than the feeling good to adult bodies? With our 8-year-old, we didn't explicitly say this is sex, penis in vagina. We just offered it as one way for a baby to be conceived. But as we have the just turned 5-year-old, we feel perhaps our script may need revising for him if your recommendation at that age is to be specific with penis in vagina being sex. Thanks so much. Bye.
Hey Australians, thank you for listening from far, far away from me here in Seattle, which some of you may not know. I live in Seattle, Washington. Y'all know where that is. Upper northwest corner of the U.S. of A. Anyway, your question. This is a great question because I think people don't understand why this is my philosophy for a variety of reasons. Here's the deal. It is super easy to start out these conversations with kids focused on reproduction. Part of that is because it's easier on you, right? It's science. And of course, not all sex is penis and vagina sex, but when you introduce this idea of sex, that penis and vagina is a kind of sex, and you also say it feels really good to grown-up bodies as part of that conversation, you can add, and people have penis and vagina sex just because it feels good to their grown-up bodies. You can totally say that. It's totally legit. And when you have, well, everybody should say this anyway. It doesn't matter if you got matchy-matchy parts down there. You can also add, there are lots of different ways to be sexual with someone. Very simple, not super detail-y, because a 5-year-old doesn't need that level of details. What you're doing is planting that seed. And as you have these conversations and you're reading books and that kind of thing, you can talk about and press on the fact that sex feels good, Mostly people have sex and do sexual things because it feels good to their grown-up bodies. This covers all of that. Think about it as building blocks. And then with your 8-year-old, you got to revisit and you can say, people have all kinds of different sex. We're the same sex and our sex looks different because, no penis, no penis, frankly. There are things people do when they are in a same-sex relationship that are still considered sex. I would maybe hesitate. I don't know if I would talk about oral sex or anal sex or sex toys or whatever's going on there, because that might be a little bit too much information, but you can definitely get that into them by the time they are 10. As usual, they're going to hear about it, and you need to be in the door first. You can keep this third person that often feels way more comfortable. And of course, you want to practice before you talk about something like this, because there can be this level of discomfort. I believe I've said this before, but practicing is not cheating. It's smart. And your kids won't know that you have been trying to figure out how to talk about this. And, the other reason that you need to make it clear to your kids that there are lots of different ways to be sexual with someone is because you want them to have a healthy sense of their own sexuality. You want them to have a good sex life. And if we keep this steady focus on penis and vagina as being the only way to have sex, it's, fucked up, right? Because that is not the only way to have sex. Everybody, unless there's not a penis and vagina involved, everybody has all kinds of different kinds of sex. And so you can just introduce those ideas. And again, the rule, by the time they're in middle school, you need to talk about all the things. Anyway, I love your thinking about this. And I think that it is kind of confusing and it feels very, what am I going to say? Kind of conservative, but it's okay to start out conservative because it'll give you it'll help you feel better when you see that nobody throws up or dies when you talk about penis and vagina sex and the usual way babies are made, and you kind of have that science focus. Then you're also leaning into the pleasure piece and really, again, as you continue the conversations, it's like baby making, schmaby making. Like that's the least of the situation with sex. So put a little in there. Add, because by the time they are 13, 14, it's not about reproduction at all. It's about dating, relationships. When is it the right time for me to become sexually active? What does that look like? What are the things that are okay to do? What do people do? Am I normal? Is this normal? All of that. Again, we're setting the stage for them to be able to talk with you about this. Anyway, thank you for your call from far, far away. And if you're calling in and you're somewhere different than the US of A, say so, because that makes me feel really international, which, I like that kind of thing. My reach. Very important to me. Which reminds me, a little while ago, I had a little meltdown, rant, freak out about where I'm coming from with all of this. And I just wanted to ask you if you would be willing to share my podcast with one person who you think will be a friendly and open to this, one parent, so you can help other parents get on board with the idea of parent-led sex ed. The more people who know about this, the more people who feel comfortable and confident talking with their kids, the safer everybody's going to be. Our kids will make better decisions if most of them are on the same page. And for me, that is my goal, right? Every child, a whole, healthy, happy human. And sexuality is a gigantic part of being a whole, healthy, happy human. Alrighty. Thanks in advance. While I'm asking for shit, if you haven't rated me, please do that. It's fun for me to see the ratings, even the ones where people are, not thrilled with me. It's okay to tell me that. I learned from them for sure. Those moments. It's hard on me, but I'm not perfect and I know that, and I love to learn. So thank you. Anyway, thank you. I'm all done now. Good luck. Bye. That's it for this week. Thanks to everyone who's been calling in. The number's 206-926-1522, so please leave me a message if you have a question or a tale from the trenches. And thank you to Melanie Smith, my producer, and to Rolf, who wrote the Birds and Bees and Kids theme song.